Get ready. Football. Welcome to my channel.
The beginnings of the LGBTQ+ movement, as we know it today, has a long and complex history. While there have been instances of same-sex love and relationships throughout history, the modern movement gained significant momentum in the 20th century. LGBTQ+ is an acronym that stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Queer plus is used to represent a diverse range of sexual orientations and gender identities. Lesbian, a woman who is attracted to other women. Gay, a man who is attracted to other men. Bisexual, a person who is attracted to people of more than one gender. Transgender, a person whose gender identity differs from their sex assigned at birth. Queer plus is often used as an umbrella term to encompass a wider range of gender identities and sexual orientations, including those that do not fit neatly into the categories of lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. The plus sign in LGBTQ indicates that the acronym is inclusive and open-ended, recognizing the diversity of identities and experiences within the LGBTQ+ community. Ancient civilizations' historical records suggest that same-sex relationships were tolerated or even celebrated in some ancient cultures, such as Greece, Egypt, Mesopotamia, Native Americans' culture, and Rome. Ancient Greece offers a fascinating glimpse into diverse understandings of gender and sexuality. While our understanding is shaped by the limited historical records, several aspects stand out. Pederasty, the practice of pederasty, involving sexual relationships between older men and younger boys, was prevalent in ancient Greece. While it was often framed within a mentorship context, it also raised ethical and moral questions. Love and poetry poets like Sappho and Anacreon openly express same-sex love in their works, suggesting a degree of acceptance for these relationships within certain circles. Gender roles. While traditional gender roles were generally defined, there were instances where individuals cross-dressed or adopted behaviors associated with the opposite sex. This fluidity is evident in some myths and legends, such as the story of Hermaphroditus. It's important to note that ancient Greece did not have a monolithic view on sexuality. Views and practices varied across different regions, social classes, and time periods. While some texts and practices suggest a degree of tolerance, others reflect negative attitudes towards same-sex relationships or gender non-conformity. While our understanding of ancient Mesopotamian society is limited, there is some evidence to suggest that gender diversity and same-sex relationships were present. The Epic of Gilgamesh, a Mesopotamian epic poem, contains a scene that might be interpreted as a same-sex encounter. However, the exact nature of this scene is open to interpretation. Some Mesopotamian religious texts, such as the Code of Hammurabi, contain references to individuals who do not fit into traditional gender roles. Some Mesopotamian religious texts, such as the Code of Hammurabi, contain references to individuals who do not fit into traditional gender roles. Art and iconography. There are limited examples of art and iconography that might suggest same-sex relationships or gender diversity in Mesopotamia. It's important to note that our understanding of LGBTQ+ history in Mesopotamia is still developing. As scholars continue to analyze the available evidence, we may uncover more about the diversity of gender and sexuality in this ancient civilization. LGBTQ+ in ancient Egypt. While our understanding of ancient Egyptian society is still evolving, there is increasing evidence to suggest that gender diversity and same-sex relationships were present and sometimes tolerated. Gender fluidity, the concept of sekhet or heket, which translated roughly to he who is both, suggests that individuals could identify as both male and female. Tombs and artifacts, tombs of certain pharaohs, such as Akhenaten, have been interpreted as suggesting same-sex relationships. However, the exact nature of these relationships is still debated. Religious texts, some religious texts, such as the Book of Coming Forth by Day, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, contain references to individuals who do not fit into traditional gender roles. Art and iconography, ancient Egyptian art, often depicts individuals with androgynous features or in gender-bending roles. It's important to note that our understanding of LGBTQ+ history in ancient Egypt is still developing. As scholars continue to analyze the available evidence, we may uncover more about the diversity of gender and sexuality in this ancient civilization. Sekhet or heket, which translated roughly to he who is both, suggests that individuals could identify as both male and female. Tombs and artifacts, tombs of certain pharaohs, such as Akhenaten, have been interpreted as suggesting same-sex relationships. However, the exact nature of these relationships is still debated. Religious texts, some religious texts, such as the Book of Coming Forth by Day, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, contain references to individuals who do not fit into traditional gender roles. Art and iconography, ancient Egyptian art, often depicts individuals with androgynous features or in gender-bending roles. It's important to note that our understanding of LGBTQ+ history in ancient Egypt is still developing. As scholars continue to analyze the available evidence, we may uncover more about the diversity of gender and sexuality in this ancient civilization. Two-Spirit people, a unique perspective on gender and sexuality. Many Native American cultures historically recognized a third gender category, often referred to as Two-Spirit individuals. These individuals embodied both masculine and feminine qualities, often possessing spiritual and ceremonial roles within their communities. Gender fluidity, Two-Spirit individuals often exhibited gender fluidity, expressing elements of both traditional masculine and feminine roles. Spiritual significance, they were often seen as having special spiritual powers and were revered as healers, shamans, or ceremonial leaders. Diverse roles, their specific roles, varied across different tribes, but they often served as mediators, advisors, and community leaders. The term Two-Spirit was coined in the 1990s as a pan-Indian term to encompass a variety of traditional gender roles and identities among Native American peoples. It was intended to replace the colonial and often derogatory terms used to describe these individuals. Despite their historical significance, Two-Spirit individuals faced discrimination and persecution, particularly after the arrival of European colonizers. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in Two-Spirit identities, with many Native American communities working to preserve and celebrate their cultural heritage. LGBTQ+ in ancient Rome. Ancient Rome was a complex society with a fluid understanding of gender and sexuality. While our understanding is limited by the surviving historical records, several aspects stand out. Bisexuality, many Roman emperors and nobles were known to have both male and female lovers. This was often seen as a sign of masculinity and power. Saturnalia, during the festival of Saturnalia, traditional gender roles were often reversed and individuals could cross-dress or engage in same-sex relationships. Prostitution, both male and female prostitution, were legal in ancient Rome, and some brothels catered specifically to same-sex clientele. Literary references, Roman literature, particularly the works of poets like Ovid, contains references to same-sex love and desire. Greek influence, the Romans adopted many cultural practices from the Greeks, including their more open attitudes towards sexuality. In Greek culture, pederasty, sexual relationships between older men and younger boys, was often seen as a form of education and mentorship. Political power, Roman emperors and nobles often used their sexual relationships to solidify alliances and gain political influence. Having both male and female lovers demonstrated their power and connections. Roman military culture, bisexuality was sometimes seen as a sign of courage and virility. Soldiers often engaged in same-sex relationships, particularly during long campaigns. It's important to note that while these practices were tolerated or even celebrated in certain contexts, they were not universally accepted. There were also instances of legal persecution and social stigma associated with same-sex relationships. The present era of LGBTQ+ rights is marked by significant progress and ongoing challenges. While there have been remarkable advancements in many countries, discrimination and inequality persist in many others. Marriage equality in recent years. Many countries have legalized same-sex marriage, recognizing the right of LGBTQ+ couples to marry and build families. Anti-discrimination laws. Numerous countries have enacted laws that prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity in areas such as employment, housing, and education. Increased visibility. LGBTQ+ individuals and organizations have become more visible and vocal in advocating for their rights. This increased visibility has helped to raise awareness and challenge stereotypes. Global movement. The LGBTQ+ movement has become a global phenomenon, with activists and organizations working together to advance human rights for all. Ongoing challenges.
Despite progress, LGBTQ+ individuals continue to face legal discrimination in many parts of the world. This can include restrictions on their rights to marry, adopt children, or serve openly in the military. Violence and harassment. LGBTQ+ individuals remain at a higher risk of violence and harassment compared to heterosexual and cisgender individuals. This can have a devastating impact on their mental health and well-being. Social stigma. Despite increased acceptance, social stigma and prejudice against LGBTQ+ individuals persist in many communities. This can lead to discrimination, isolation, and discrimination. Here are some of the most famous Pride events worldwide. Gay Pride Parade, New York City, one of the largest and most iconic Pride events, held annually in June to commemorate the Stonewall Uprising. Pride in London, the largest Pride event in Europe, attracting millions of participants. Sydney Gay Pride, a vibrant celebration held in Sydney, Australia. Sao Paulo Gay Pride, the largest pride parade in the world, attracting millions of people. Pride Month. June is designated as Pride Month in many countries, with various events and celebrations taking place throughout the month. Other LGBTQ+ festivals. Pride Film Festivals. These festivals showcase LGBTQ+ themed films and documentaries. Pride Music Festivals. These festivals feature performances by LGBTQ+ artists and allies. Pride Conventions. These events bring together LGBTQ+ individuals, activists, and organizations from around the world. Pride parades and festivals are the most widely recognized and celebrated events within the LGBTQ+ community. They serve as a platform to promote equality, celebrate diversity, and raise awareness about LGBTQ+ issues. Future directions. The future of LGBTQ+ rights is uncertain. While there is reason for optimism, significant challenges remain. The movement will continue to advocate for equality, justice, and the full recognition of human rights for all.